The Dallas Mavericks are now one game away from returning to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2011. They have the Timberwolves on sweep alert. As close as this series has been, down the stretch has, in all three games, been the defining factor. The difference for the Mavericks in this series is that they have two of the best closers we've ever seen in NBA history in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. And that was on full display in game three. The two of them just took the game over. Throughout the entirety course of the game, they both had ridiculous shot making, but in that fourth quarter, it was on another level. The handles from Kyrie all game, being able to get downhill, finish with both hands. The pull-up mid-range game was going for him. What do you do with Luka? Like the Minnesota Timberwolves, as I mentioned, if you watch the last episode of the podcast, going into game three, obviously no team has ever come back from a 3-0 series deficit. So if there's anything you've been sitting on in your back pocket in this series, defensive coverage-wise, game three is where you just have to throw it all. You have to throw the entire kitchen sink at Luka and Kyrie and hope something works, because you cannot afford to go down 0-3. That no team has ever come back from that deficit in any series, especially not in a conference final series. And to the Wolves' credit, they tried everything. They've tried drop. They've tried bringing defenders up to the level of the screen. They've tried switching that pick and roll action. They've tried to hedge. They've tried to throw people in the gaps. They've tried blitzing. They've tried trapping. They've tried doubling Luka and Kyrie. They have an answer for it all. They have an answer for it all. When you're dealing with a backcourt that is as talented as the two of these guys are, and Stan Van Gundy keeps saying it on the broadcast, and I'm starting to believe it, that this might be the most talented backcourt we've ever seen in NBA history. Obviously accolade-wise, they're not up to a level of Steph and Clay, but from just a purely talent perspective, what the two of them are able to do at any given time, and it was on full display down the stretch here in this one. You have two guys who can take the game over, and they're both on your team. The luxury that is for Dallas is, can't be understated. They combined for 66 points in this one, both getting 33 points. Kyrie finishes with 33, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Luka has 33 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Both of them were phenomenal from all three levels, knocking down the three ball, getting to the mid-range. The pull-up midi was good. Kyrie was finishing beautifully with both hands. Just a textbook performance from the two of these guys. And they now are in a position where they are one game away from Luka's second finals appearance, and Dallas's first finals appearance in almost 15 years now at this point. On the Minnesota side of things, Anthony Edwards was much more aggressive in this one, which was good to see. He still hasn't been really efficient this entire series, and a lot of that just has to do with the fact that Mavericks continue to show him bodies. They continue to get into those gaps of his driving lanes. People are helping over every single time because they understand that this offense starts with Anthony Edwards, and if they can bottle him up, it puts him in a really good position to be able to contain what Minnesota likes to do in the half court. I'm not going to go any further without mentioning the play of Karl-Anthony Towns, who I praised so much in that last series against Denver. He's effectively been a no-show in this series on the offensive side of the ball. It's tough to see and watch because knowing where their offense was in this last series because of Cat's contributions, and genuinely they do not beat Denver in that Game 7 if Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't play at the level that he does. But for him to shoot 30%, 25%, and then in Game 3, 27.8% from the field, he's only made 3 threes in this entire series. He's shooting 3 for 24 from the three-point line in this series against Dallas. I'll even take a step back. This series for Minnesota, you've gotten great contributions from their role players. Naz Reid has been fantastic all series. Kyle Anderson, 2 out of the 3 games, has given you so much more offensively than you would expect out of him. Jaden McDaniels had it going a little bit in this one. He, went 6 for 8 from the field. He gave you 15 points. Mike Conley gave you 16 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 4 of 7 from 3. You're getting contributions from the other guys that you would typically expect. If you're getting these types of contributions, you get just minimally what you would expect out of Ant and Cat. And this is an entirely different series. The first two games were, decided by a combined 4 points. This was a 9-point loss, 13 total point difference between the three games in this series. If Cat and Ant are playing up to the level that you would expect from the two stars on your team, we're not talking about the Dallas Mavericks being one game away from the NBA Finals and the series essentially being over. This would still be a very tight series if Ant and Cat had played, up to the level of expectation and 4-star players. And again, obviously, they're doing a lot of things schematically to make it tough for Ant. Cat is he's settling for the three ball, which, again, as one of the best shooting bigs we've ever seen, it's understandable, but it just hasn't been falling for him, and he hasn't looked to get as downhill and aggressive as I would like to see from him, especially in game 3 where it just, he did not make a three, and you just felt he was forcing a lot of them. He continued to take deep threes. And while they're open looks, at some point, you just got to turn it down and just get to the rim. Just go and get to the rim. Get a point. Get easy buckets. See a couple go through. And he was never able to get into that rhythm shooting. So it's tough. It's tough. Game 1 and 2, I think, are really going to haunt Minnesota, the players on this team, but also their fans, because getting the performances that you got from Jaden McDaniels in game 1 and then Naz Reid in game 2 and squandering both of those, it's gonna be a tough pill to swallow for Minnesota fans. Rudy Gobert, I don't even think I didn't post a video after game 2, but obviously he got absolutely cooked by Luka down the stretch there in game 2. I want to be clear, he would have done that to anybody. Like people were saying, if it was Anthony Davis or if it was Bam, they would have locked it up. No, he wouldn't have. You can go on Twitter, you'll find clips. People are posting them of Luka cooking AD and Bam and Giannis and every good defender that you can think of on the same type of step back, tween, from the wing three. That's what Luka does. That's what makes him special. If you want to have a gripe with Rudy Gobert in this series and his play as a whole, give it on the offensive side of the ball, man. He just does not give nearly enough on that end. Obviously, in this one, he doesn't miss a shot, but he only goes 4 for 4 on the offensive side of the ball. And he, I would say, continues to be outplayed in the series by the combination of Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. And I also want to send out the prayers to Derek Lively, who took a nasty, nasty inadvertent knee to the back of the head by Karl Anthony Towns in this one. They came out and said that he doesn't have a concussion, which I just don't believe, because he got up and was very clearly wobbly, struggled to walk off the court. So I don't expect to see him for game 4, which might just be the closeout game of the series, but hopefully that gives him time to rest up to be ready for what looks like it will be an inevitable finals matchup between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. Not going to say anything officially because obviously it's not officially over in either of those series. But like I said, 2 3-0 series leads in the conference finals. No team has ever come back from a 3-0 series deficit. So it seems like it's an inevitable matchup to happen in the finals. And if that's the case, I'm excited. I'm very excited to see a Jason Tatum and a Jaylen Brown matchup against Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, on top of the fact that you're getting Kyrie's return to Boston, which that crowd is going to be full of hatred, which is not always the best thing, but just the energy that's going to bring to this series, the storylines, the drama that is going to bring to this series is going to make for a finals matchup that is fitting and one that is going to be must-watch TV, because the shot making between both of these duos, the defense that we're going to see played by both of these teams, obviously the Mavericks this year being a super improved defense with the additions of guys like Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington, and then Daniel Gafford and Lively as well. And then, also can't even leave him out, Josh Green, who's been great in this series. His energy is always infectious when he gets on the court. I'm super excited. I'm super excited for the NBA Finals. But to tie a bow on this thing, because I'm not sure I'm going to make an official video after game 4, especially if the Mavericks wrap it up. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, man, this one's going to sting for a long time. It's going to sting for a long time, like I said, especially because the role players stepped up in a big way. And your stars in Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns did not play to the level that you needed from them to be able to advance to the NBA Finals. I've seen people already start to say, what do the Timberwolves do? Do they try to blow it up? Do they try to make this big deal? I don't think any of that is necessary. You've gotten to the conference finals on the back of your defense. Most importantly, Anthony Edwards is only 22. This is the first time that he's gotten this far in the playoffs. Once you get this deep, you're going to see so many different coverages, and it seems like they found something that's able to stop him. Being able to, like I mentioned earlier, get in those gaps of his driving lanes and continue to show him bodies really affected him in this series, particularly. That's something that'll just come with time. Because like I just mentioned, on the flip side, Luka, who's 3 years older than him, no coverage stopped him in this game. And no coverage really seems to ever be able to stop him. And obviously, Luka is of a different talent level on the offensive side of the ball. But in all honesty, you have to give Ant the time to develop to be able to get there. So don't do any rash decisions. Don't make any crazy trades to blow things up if you're Minnesota. You just have to be patient and let Ant be able to grow. And hopefully he uses this as a learning experience to get that chip on his shoulder that we see a guy like Luka playing with. Luka's taking charges. Luka's playing on a banged-up knee, banged-up shoulder. He's getting hit in the face. You can just tell the effort level that he brings on defense on top of what he gives you on the offensive side of the ball. He wants it. He wants to see the Celtics in the finals, and he wants to be able to lift that Larry O'Brien trophy in June and say that he has his first NBA championship. So I'm excited for the NBA finals. If you like the video, be sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more of these recaps throughout the course of the playoffs. And I'll be doing one of these videos after every single NBA Finals video. So I appreciate you, and I'm out.